Hello, and welcome to Inner Shift Adapt, Recover, and Thrive, a space to bring science, presence, and soul into synergy. I'm Tammy Waldron, founder of Towanda Wellbeing, and I teach simple, effective energy healing techniques to help you move beyond overwhelm and burnout. This work is about more than just coping. It's about reconnecting with your body, restoring your energy, and learning how to show up for others without losing yourself in the process. So let's get started. The first step is to check in with yourself. We're so heavily in our heads. And so checking in to see what we're thinking. So stepping back, being the observer. What are you thinking in this moment? And what are you feeling? We're so in our heads that oftentimes we don't feel into our bodies. So I want to just pause for a couple of seconds, and you can push pause if you need to go longer. I'd love to invite you to just think about how you're feeling. What words would you describe that? And what rating would you give this? And this is an invitation for you to do this periodically throughout the day. Pause, check in with yourself. This is foundational to the work that we're going to talk about today. Just going to give us a couple of seconds. Did you naturally take a deep breath? Or are you holding your breath? We are really good at holding our breath. So when you pause and check in, it's an opportunity also to fill up your lungs. Pay attention to what you're thinking and feeling. Ground and center into yourself and move forward. This only needs to take a few seconds. So let's keep. Second thing I want to ground us in is our perspective of the things going on inside of our bodies. We have a whole system going on. This is grounded in inner family systems theory, IFS. And all parts of us are here to help, but they get dysregulated and they get a little off track with what we would think is helpful. But if we were to interview each of those parts, even your worst critic, it would tell you that it's doing something that is helpful. And so the invitation is for you to look inside your system, connect with all the parts of you with curiosity, kindness, compassion, connectedness, and courage. Because like I said, we're so in our head, we're not into our feelings. Sometimes we don't want to see those things that we have buried under the bed or hidden in the closet. But they just want to be seen, heard, and understood. So looking at them with that curiosity, what's going on? What do they need? Is really helpful. So when you have emotions come up, they're there to help you. They're just information. They're not directives. They're not telling you what to do. They're giving you data. So what is it that they want you to know? Is invite you to take on that role of checking in, feeling your body, and seeing what is happening from the lens of a curious, loving person. You can also take it as a curious investigation in ways that maybe you never have taken the time to do so in the past. So throughout your day, check in, and throughout your day, get curious. Because there's a lot going on in our body and in our mind that we actually are not aware of. There are blind spots, and then there are things that we just have learned to tune out. And when you get quiet, you can see them again. And when you continue to lean in and do this work, they become more clear. And as you clear away and process what your body has held up and is storing for you, that weighs you down, that creates these burdens, as you clear those, then those messages become even clearer. But let's talk about our brains, because it's a beautiful, beautiful mechanism of thinking. Your brain processes over 70,000 thoughts a day. It's amazing. And there's more to it. What's driving all of those thoughts? Part of it is the data that we're getting from our surroundings, what we see, what we feel, what we hear. But there's more that's driving those thoughts, and it's our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is like a computer program. It operates and runs how our body functions. There's so many things that we don't even have to think about. It just does it for us. If we cut our finger, our body knows how to heal it. Our body knows how to work all of our organ systems. Our breath is actually the only autonomic system that we can actually control, which is really cool. And our mindset is like the very tip of the iceberg. But what drives our mindset is what is in our subconscious. Belief systems, positive environment, our family environment, our society, and then also limiting beliefs. It's positive and negative, right? Things that make us who we are, our character, our virtues, and our limitations, our limiting beliefs, things that have been really significant in our lives, and maybe even trauma that have happened to us. All of those experiences live in our subconscious, and they drive our mindset. So when we're leaning in and learning about resiliency and positive psychology of having a positive mindset, being optimistic, catching ourselves when we have negative thought patterns and reframing those are beautiful techniques to help shift the way we think. But it really is just the tip of the iceberg. Because what's driving all those thoughts live in the subconscious. It's the root system. So if you reframe those positive thoughts and you clear away that plant or the weed, it's going to grow right back. And that re-shifting, reframing over and over again is exhausting. It can actually be defeating also, because it's like, okay, what's wrong with me? I can't get these thoughts out of my head. No matter what I do and try, they continue, they persist. Well, we're just pulling the weeds from the top. We're not getting down into the root with these strategies. And so I talk about something called integrated resiliency, incorporating all parts of that. So let's dig in and talk a little bit more about that. Integrated resiliency is the capacity to adapt, recover, and thrive by aligning your nervous system, your emotional body, your mind, and your spirit. Our body communicates to our brain. So let's talk about that first. We have a lot more neurological systems that run from our body up to our brain, not the other way around. Our mind doesn't control our body. Our body controls our mind. And we don't realize that because we're not really connected to our bodies. What we usually notice is the thoughts that pop into our head, not the stimulus of the body that happens first. And then it creates a feedback loop. The way we respond into an environment through our body, through our sensations and our feelings, then feeds what we're thinking and how we're responding in a situation. I mean, think about when you're triggered and you react. There's no thought involved in that. After, you would have loved to have some space in order to respond in a way that was the way you wanted to show up in that moment. But when your buttons get pushed and you get triggered in a really big way, oftentimes there's no space, there's no pause in between the stimulus and the reaction. Viktor Frankl talks about that that's our power. Our power lies in that ability to create a space, and that's exactly what I teach people how to do. So that we're not out of control, that we're not reacting, but that we can be the observer, that we can experience and we can collect all the data from our bodies, from our environment, from our mind, and then we can choose how we're going to react, how we're going to respond. And in all the years of my work, I've been doing this work over 10 years, what I find is that safety is really at the bottom of a lot of what we're dealing with, and fear. We do a lot of things to keep ourselves safe, even though it might not look like on the surface that it has to do with safety. But fear is so amazing as a mechanism of action in your body. It creates an effective feedback loop to ensure its own survival. And really, it's a part of you that feels like something's not safe, and it just continually will make decisions, create feelings to make you make decisions. It can distort your reality. It overstates threats, and it puts you in a state of a defensive position. As not only are our own lived experiences in our subconscious, but science has proven that we inherit them from our ancestors. And this is actually tapping into epigenetics too, that our body responds to our system. And inside of our body is a system that is operating at the primal level of keeping us safe. And if we're not in charge of that system, it will be in charge of us. It often throws us into this triangle, the drama triangle, the rescuer, the victim, and the persecutor. Each of these is operating in a way that is trying to be helpful to that person for whatever reason, and is living out these belief systems, these lived experiences that are in our subconscious. We can find those and we can reprogram them. And we can find them and release them through very simple techniques. It doesn't require information, does not require retelling those stories. They're simple breath and touch techniques that I can teach you and that I have in the next videos. Let's keep going. So where do you fall in that drama triangle, and what are the thoughts that are running in your mind? We all have this storyline. If you pause and get curious and pay attention to what messages are going through your mind, you have things. Start to track them, because you might be able to find trends and themes that are happening in your mind, and you can follow them to a root cause. And in my work, we use energy healing to do that. And the very first step to this pathway to your intuition is embodiment. It's exactly what we've been talking about. Connecting to your body, watching your mind, paying attention to whose idea is that? Whose thoughts are that? Are they yours? Are they your parents, grandparents, society? Ones that you don't even recognize? And create that space. So let's lean in a little bit more. We're going to talk about embodiment. I love the work of Brené Brown. Her latest book is Atlas of the Heart. And through her grounded research, she has been able to itemize feelings and experiences that we go through and naming them. Emotional granularity is one of the best ways that you can become embodied. It's important. We started with it at the beginning, remember? To check in. How are you feeling? What are you feeling? Can you name it? Can you give it a score? When Brené did her research with thousands of adults, she found that most people could only name 3. Can you guess what they are? Happy, mad, sad. Our feelings are so much more nuanced than that. And the more granular we can get in naming them, the more power you have, the more you can create that space to be in control. And so if you haven't read her book, I strongly encourage you to lean into that so that you can broaden your own language around how you're feeling and get really granular about what it's called and how it feels. This is a really cool study where they took scans of people's bodies as they were experiencing different emotions. I mean, if you close your eyes and think about what it feels like to be angry, sad, depressed, you know that it feels a certain way. It's really fun to see it in a scan. I mean, look at anger. Don't you see somebody with their hands clenched and they're about to blow their top? This person looks like they could be actively screaming. Sadness, I get a heaviness in my chest. And the one that lights up all of our energy centers, they're called chakras, is love. I'm just going to let you take a minute and look at this chart. Which ones really stand out to you? Which ones are a little bit surprising? I mean, look at the cheeks on shame. Each of these feelings has a different frequency because we are energy. We're made up of atoms, and everything about us and everything about the world is all energy. Our thoughts, our words, our actions, our bodies, our feelings are all different frequencies of energy. And this energy runs through the meridian system that is connected to our nervous system. The earliest known written record is 100 BC. This is the system that acupuncture taps into, which is an ancient Chinese medicine that's still being used today. And there's new research around the meridians. They've found a new vascular system in the body with a new type of dye. And these researchers are calling it the premovascular system. And they're leaning in to do more studies on this and wondering if this aligns with what they understand as the meridian system. There's a lot more research to be done. Science hasn't fully seen or understand the mechanism of what's happening in our body. But the more we advance in our technological techniques, the more we're able to see. But all of these things are lived experiences and things that we know. There's a lot of research around acupuncture and other energy healing techniques under the studies of biofield energy. If you would like to know more information about that, just reach out and I will point you in that direction. One of my favorite studies around the energy and consciousness is the one that Dr. Masaru Emoto completed on the consciousness of water. He took vials of water and did different things with them. He spoke different words, he thought different words, he played music. And then he froze that water. And the crystals that came from it are stunning. The different intentions, even if it wasn't spoken out loud, the crystals showed up consistently. What's amazing is that with positive words and thoughts and actions, the crystals were symmetrical and beautiful. With negative words, they came out unsymmetrical. This research has continued, so there's more to learn here if you wanted to dive down into this as well. In our short time together, we've talked about the power of your intentions, the power of your observation, that you are energy. And I have other videos that talk about and show you how to tap into that energy using muscle testing and simple techniques that I use in silent counseling to identify and release the emotions and the feelings that are stuck in your body so that you can regulate your nervous system and operate at your best. If you'd like to follow me and stay connected, I'm offering a gift to you. A heart-centered meditation when you subscribe to my newsletter. Thank you so much for joining me today. You have the capacity to thrive inside of you. Everything that we're searching for is inside of us. We just have to learn how to turn in and access it. So that's the work that I do. I'd love to connect with you and talk about this further. You can go on my website and set up a free discovery call if you'd like to have more conversation. And I'll see you in the next video where we dive into connecting with and releasing from our nervous system. Thank you, and have a beautiful, amazing day.